This episode is brought to you by Camilla Najat with Exit Realty Metro.
Camilla Najat is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients. Camilla can help you with a comparative market analysis to help determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work with you at your pace.
You can reach Camilla by calling 902-880-8429 or email camilla@exitmetro.ca.
Also, you can find her on Facebook at Camilla Najat, Exit Realty Metro. This is Matt Conrad.
And this is Mike Tobin.
Welcome to the Afternoon Pint.
Today's guest is DJ, producer, radio personality, live events promoter, teacher, and performer, Halifax Legend RS SMOOTH. RS SMOOTH celebrated his 25th year for his hit show Smooth Grooves, which you can hear every Sunday on CKDU, starting at 2 p.m. Ryan is also an instructor with the Nova Scotia Community College for the radio, television, and journalism program. Enjoy. I'm Mike Tobin.
I'm Matt Conrad.
And today we have RS SMOOTH, Ryan Summers. Pleasure to have you here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Honest to God, to me, this feels like a real special guest. And there's a lot of reasons, but I mean, the big one is that I listen to you a lot. I mean, I think we're probably fairly close in age, but I mean, I was listening to you on the radio because when I was a late teen, early 20s, you were the only place to hear hip hop in Nova Scotia on the radio, right? So just start there, and I appreciated that. I'm sure a lot of other people appreciate that. And I remember friends whispering, like, "Oh man, you go on RS SMOOTH Sunday nights, right?" And you're still doing Sunday nights.
Yeah, still. Yeah.
And that's
been a while. 25 years of Smooth Grooves. 25
years. That's amazing.
And 30 years on CKDU. So
that's amazing. Yeah, that's a wicked career, right? And I actually listened to some of the show coming up today, the one you did on Sunday, the October 15th show, and kind of started off with some Afro beats, and then I started hearing some Drake in there, kind of getting mixed in, right? Getting into some of the. And it's a 6-hour show. Is it always 6 hours?
So it was like 2.5 hours for years, 5 to 7:30, and then during COVID, we weren't able to be in the studio live. So the show after me, like I'd never missed a show though. I pre-recorded it usually the day of and just forwarded it to the station. And then actually I'll get back to that, but like it was funny then. I never had the opportunity to like drive around while my show was on, so I would. When it was pre-recorded and flick through the dial, it's so different than anything.
Well, I got to drive around one time, and I'll tell you this real quick. I don't know how old I was, but really into hip hop. Recorded some of my own music. You might have been the first person in the world that took that song and actually played it. You played it on your station for me.
Nice.
It meant the world to me, man. I was so thankful for it. I was so happy, right? And so thank you for that.
No, that's
and
cool.
You didn't do that just for me. You did that for probably hundreds, if not thousands, of Nova Scotians, right? R&B. Rap, hip hop. What other styles would you say?
Yeah, well, there's Advocates of Truth who are from Africa, but they do Afro beats. I just played some of their stuff earlier this year. Yeah, and had them on live drumming and all that. It was really cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So
that's awesome. So going back a bit, man, like how did you start? Like, I guess take me back to out of high school. Ryan figuring what the hell he's going to do with his life, falls upon a radio station.
You know what? I never finished my answer from the last thing, so let me finish that first.
Yeah.
So 5 to 7:30 was Smooth Grooves. I got an extra half hour on COVID, and then Voice of Eritrea, the show before me with Nas, he's not doing it regularly now.
Okay.
So I was basically covering for him until he comes back to take a slot. So I did that throughout COVID, 6 hours, and then he came back for a bit, and then he's gone again. I don't know if he'll be back, so I just said, well, let me take your show, and if you come back, I don't mind giving you the time. So now that's why it's 6 hours. So
nice.
2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Yeah.
Great.
And now you said take you back to high school. How did I get into it? Well, I've always been a fan of music. You know, I love music, listening to the music, especially radio. I was only a little kid, and I always just remember the radio being on at home in the car. My father had his own business, so he would take me with him when I was a kid everywhere. And when he runs errands, and he would run in the store or whatever, run in the shop to do whatever, and always turn the key back and leave the radio on. So,
what kind of music do you remember?
It was with the radio around here, so there wasn't any hip hop or whatever, but it was more like pop, rock, that kind of stuff. So I would try to flick through and even find songs here and there. So I'm very familiar with a lot of like 80s just
Whole lot of
because
April
the radio.
wine.
Yeah, exactly. And what's that song? Chilliwack.
Oh, yeah,
my girl, I
Chilliwack,
love that song.
That's a great song.
But I remember that from the radio, you know what I mean? So I know all these songs. And then so one day I came upon CKDU and realized after a while that you can volunteer and just go on the radio. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll do that. You know what I mean? So I just went down. And this I was like, 92? August of 92, I was only like 14. So I was going back to school, so I never went back till I was 15 in March of 93. And I got the training from CKDU, and they were like, hey, it's a good idea for you to go and like sit in on a show and kind of see how they do things. And so they paired me with this one guy on Fridays, but like he had like a funk show and it was cool, but I had a show that in mind that I wanted to go sit in on, and it was Funk and Effect on Sundays with DJ Delight, aka Kendall Mulder, rest in peace. But he took me in, let me sit in on the show, and it was over. He's like, hey, do you want to come back next week? I was like, what? Like, for real? I was like, hell yeah. And then I just ended up becoming his co-host and then did that for like 4 years when I was in like junior high and high school. So that's how I got into it.
That's awesome.
Where'd you go to junior high and high school?
So junior high was Timberley Junior High, which is, I'm not sure what it is now. It's BLT or something.
Yeah, something like
maybe.
that.
And then Sir John A., which is now, I think, Bayview.
Yeah.
But then, like, coming out of high school, I was like, yo, I want to be, like, I want to do something kind of, I already had 3 years on CKDU, so I wanted to be considered professional. So I was like, where can I go? What else can I do? And there was two options my guidance counselor gave me. There was a media arts program in Halifax that was $10,000, and then there was one in Kentville that was like $1,000 or $1,500, and I didn't have $10K, so I went to Kentville to the NSCC Kingstead campus and took the radio television arts program.
Nice, nice. And you did. I mean, I know you've been on at least one or two of the local radio stations here in Halifax over the years, right? You've done some time.
Definitely. So I mean, after I graduated, it was like because I had the radio experience. I was all, I went to like Edmonton for like my internship. Like, you know what I mean? I thought I wanted to play hip hop and stuff, right? So I could have probably went back to Edmonton, but I was like, I wanted to do more hip hop stuff. So I stayed here. But I actually, the first couple of years were rough. I'm not gonna lie. I never got in an industry like that. It was tough. Like for a minute, I actually remember DJing for video dances. You remember video dances?
Oh yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so it was terrible though. Like the money was terrible for the time that you put in. And now that I think about it, the irony is, the place where I used to have to go, where the guy lived, where his shop was, is on the way to where I work, NSCC. I see it every day. That guy still owes me $100 to this day, man. But it's just a reminder, though, of like, I remember how dark those days were, depressing.
That's your motivation.
You know what I mean? And then, so I kind of got into, I didn't get into commercial radio right away. I was actually teaching at King's College. That was like the first major job I got out of after school in 99 as the radio broadcast technician for their journalism course there. Yeah. So I did that for 4 years. The irony, Snoop Dogg was coming here for the first time in 2003, and I knew like the people that were promoting it, so I hosted the show. But I made the commercial for it, and they aired it on C100. But like when I submitted it, they were like, "Hey, we like this, but can you come into our studio and voice it over our microphone so it sounds more consistent with what we have?" So I did that, and then a month after that, they hired me like to be a producer and like on-air announcer and stuff.
Nice.
That was 2004. So that's how I got into
2004. Around the time we actually started hearing hip hop on C100. Is that
a little bit?
Coincidence?
I mean, trust me, it was rough even then. Like,
there was not much. It was like Will Smith, and then like you might hear 50 Cent. In the Club was weirdly enough one of the first hip hop songs, rap songs that I heard on C100,
and you know why?
Like, blew my mind.
It was like, what's going on? Yeah, it was a number one hit, like not on the rap chart.
It was so
of
huge.
Course, but like on the pop chart, so
such
they had
a huge
to actually
song.
play it.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones, and like the Will Smith songs, right? But I mean, I'm not counting them, not dismissing them, but they're just not on the same level of like
Yeah, they did play like "Hypnotize" Biggie. You'll probably hear that.
Yeah, you hear that now. You still hear that now.
But,
and Drake, a lot of Drake now.
Oh, definitely.
Oh my gosh, he's on everything.
Drake can do no wrong.
Yeah,
no wrong. Yeah. It's funny now because like all the stuff that they wouldn't play on the radio in the 90s is now old school, like oldies tunes, like stuff we used to listen to in the 70s now.
That's amazing. And like you have kids now, it's like their music can't be hard enough. It's like they're listening to something, and I'm like, oh, that's good, that's really nice. But it's not like the music we were listening to. Way more aggressive.
Definitely
in the 90s hip hop than today, right?
More like boom bap. That was kind of the thing too. I was always more into like the East Coast boom bap kind of stuff.
Same.
But then going to commercial radio, it's like the opposite. I always say when I learned how commercial radio actually works, I was like, it's the equivalent of well, hopefully no children are listening to this, but it's the equivalent of a kid finding out there's no Santa Claus at Christmas. Like, I swear, like, that's what it felt like to, you know, learn, oh, this is how it works. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you guys
There's only so
actually
many songs
do
in a
this.
day.
Yeah, and it's like, you don't actually play the music, it's a computer. You know, you don't, like, most of the songs, they don't add them fast enough. Like, when they come out, and by the time they add them, they're like tired and played out. You know what I mean? But finally they get to radio. It's just so, you know, boring sometimes.
I think radio's tough on the true music nerd, right? Like, if you really love music, it's a hard thing to do. And we had another guest, Sean. He's kind of had a lot of the similar sentiments, right? Big music guy, but he was always leading edge, right? In his time in rock and roll and everything else. And by the time he hit the radio station, he was already done with that album, right?
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
Everything's so recycled now.
Yeah.
The thing, right? It's like you listen to one radio station and an hour later hearing the same songs, or you switch from one radio station to another radio station, the same songs playing.
Yeah.
It's tough, right?
Yeah, it's very repetitive. But that they believe, like, say the top charting song, if you're flicking around, you hear that, you'll stick to it. So they got to play the top stuff constantly, rather than, like, unfamiliar is a no for them. They don't want it to be something you don't know. When meanwhile, that's what a lot of people don't listen to the radio necessarily for new music.
Yeah.
But people maybe would if they played more of it. You know what I mean?
No, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, every song is a song that you never knew at one point in time, right?
It
Yeah,
was
that's
very
true.
frustrating.
But there's also formulas to music, though,
course
that you're
there's,
going to hear them the first time and automatically like them because it's a computer that, like, your brain tricks your brain and you just fall in love
Same
with that
four
song.
chords, same four beats kind of thing. Right?
Everything's so close, right? Like, it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
See, being a music director at those stations and bringing them songs and artists, it was like the chicken and egg theory. Like, you know, well, who's playing it? I'm like, well, no one yet, but someone's got to play it first. Like, who's going to play it first?
Right,
So we could be leading on it, and then it would never go that way. It's like the best story I can tell you is there was 2 songs, Drake, Best I Ever Had, and Jamie Foxx, Blame It. So this is like 2009. And I brought them. I remember this because Obama had just gotten elected, so they were talking like inauguration weekend in Washington. DJs were playing like "Blame It" by Jamie Foxx like 5 times a night. People were going crazy. And then meanwhile, Drake had gotten signed by Lil Wayne. You know, he's Canadian. He was about to blow up.
Big deal.
Lil Wayne was like the biggest artist in the world at the time, so everyone was paying attention. So I brought these 2 songs in January 2009 to the station and said, you know, we're playing like Headley and Finger 11. We should be playing Drake, who's like, you know, popular with the women who we're trying to target. He's Canadian. He just came off Degrassi. Lil Wayne just signed him. You know what I mean? And then Jamie Foxx, I told him about all the, you know, how like it was blowing up all over the place. And so I remember with the Drake song, I played it for the program director, and he's like, I don't hear a hit, man. I don't hear it. Like, I'm like, well, man, it's not really about like what you hear, or it's not even me bringing it to you. I'm about to tell you what's happened. Like, Drake is about to blow up. Like, you know what I mean? This is January 2009. So we added those songs, but it wasn't until April 2009. It's like, man, by that time they were played out, and just, we looked foolish. Like, we could have led the way and been the first ones to play Drake. And,
I used to find that even more so when I went to, and no disrespect, memories, listen to Newfoundland, right? The province was actually 6 months behind Nova Scotia in the music, like what was coming on the radio. And I'm like, holy gosh, song would just be popping on there. It was like 4 years old, right? Now, this is years ago. This isn't today. A lot has changed, right?
I think, hopefully. I remember some of my best times DJing in St. John's, Newfoundland. And what's that place? It was called Octane, but George Street. So the first time I ever went was Mardi Gras.
Okay, nice.
And it was unbelievable. I was like, what? This is amazing.
Yeah, it's a fun place.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're like, have you heard that new song, Party in the Club, by 50 Cent?
Yeah, right. It's like 20 years old. Imagine 50 Cent in the club is 20 years old.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
When it comes to hip hop, though, I've listened to a lot of the same artists I did 10 years ago. Like Lil Wayne just put out one of the best verses I ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just, oh my God. Like, I was like looking at the lyrics, I'm reading them, and I'm trying to get the double and triple entendres of the lines, and I'm just like, this is great.
He's incredible.
Yeah. So I mean, we're lucky to have a lot of great artists today. I think we're lucky too, in a sense, with some of the streaming apps. There's a lot of negative things that they do. The positive is you get that music and you find a lot of new grooves and new songs just from you know, having that and staying kind of on it all the time.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, I think some of it too. I mean, you know, I'm not as much into the modern music. I'm a big like 90s music guy. It's funny too because you were making fun of me there a couple months ago or whatever when I was driving in. I was listening to DMX and you're like, "What is that? You're like 2004 freaking mixtape?"
No, I use that joke. That's what my mom calls music. I use that joke, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what though? The funny thing is, I think I did make that CD in 2004. You were bang on.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
No, it's good to reminisce. I find a lot of what people don't realize is a lot of what you liked about the '90s is still out there now. You just gotta dig for it. It's not coming to you. It's not commercial. You have to,
no, there's still a lot of great
artists
acts
still out there making music.
Yeah.
100%. So now you're also a teacher. So you're instructor, at the Nova Scotia Community Centre.
Community College at Ivany campus.
Ivany campus, and that's radio, television, and journalism.
So basically, the program that I took in the '90s, I succeeded my former instructor.
Nice.
And now I'm teaching that course.
Cool. It's awesome.
Yeah, the radio side of things. So that's really cool. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's come full circle. I know back then I would have never thought I'd be doing this. You know what I mean? So it's really cool though, because you get to see the new generation of the broadcasters in all fields, and even though it's called radio, television, journalism, it's more like audio, video, storytelling. It's not everything is not just about radio or not just about television. Skills are transferable.
Are people asking a lot about podcasts these days?
Oh, yeah,
that's something that's a big topic.
It's definitely a component. We already, in second year they teach a podcasting course. When we have enough second years who choose radio, there's actually weekly they do a podcast and stuff like that. So so in the first year they take a bit of everything. In the second year they specialize in one of the 3 concentrations, and so that's really cool because the radio people for us, they run our online campus station as well. So that's they get a taste of what it's actually like to be on the radio. So.
And you're still DJing too, because
sure.
I remember I saw you on the Harbor Queen one night DJing there. I'm pretty sure it was years ago.
Yeah, probably that was a long time ago.
Went a boat party out there one night. It was amazing. One of the funnest nights I had.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I missed those. Those are really good.
Yeah. So you're not doing that anymore?
Not the boat. I did it a couple years ago, but that was just a private party or one-off thing. But I love the boat. I just feel it got to be nice weather. So
that's true.
Yeah, but
what's it like being the DJ to your students? They're out there partying.
I think. See, the thing is, it's one of those you can tell them, but showing them is better. So they we're all 3 of the main instructors were still involved in industry, but I'm DJing and doing radio all the time, and you know what I mean. I try to tell them though, we teach them. We train for commercial radio, so I say so the CKDU thing is more because I love it and it has nothing to do with it's not if it's structured, it's my structure. It's not coming from somebody telling me to do it that way.
Right.
So commercial radio, it's controlled by a company. It's a private radio station, so they can tell you to do whatever and censor you if they want. Censor social media wise, you might not be able to do certain things.
That's right.
That kind of thing. So the CKDU stuff, I'm I just do that for fun and the music and showcase, but we train them for commercial radio, so they actually get to do that while they're on campus.
It makes you a brilliant example of all the things you can do with the radio arts and such too, right? Because there's so much more depth to it, and you're really living all of those.
I'm trying
in some way, right? And you're doing production as well.
Yeah. I mean, I've always dabbled in music. I remember that was one of the reasons I went to CKDU, because they had a studio, so I could go and just me and my friends used to record verses and take other beats and just make our own songs over them, and so I've always done that. But definitely, I was doing it all along, but during COVID, I really got into producing or at least making beats and making my own music, because I just felt it was better to do that rather than take other people's beats or whatever.
Nice.
If you can do it yourself, it's so much
Any
better.
young artists these days coming your way through the CKDU that you're kind of or even if you thought the last year that kind of just kind of hit your radar?
I wish there was more, to be honest, but I know there's plenty out there. I don't know, even off the top of my head, if I can think of one. I don't necessarily classify it as age, but Notes. I don't know if you know Notes. He's really dope. Aldine Allison, I did so much music with him over the years. He's really dope. I don't know if they'd be considered younger, but even Connie Ross. I don't know if you know Connie Ross. I really like him. He's doing this thing. There's many others, Mahalia Smith, Rainey Smith, both of them, they're incredible.
Rainey Smith, incredible.
Yeah, Zamani, another one that's really, really, really vocally incredible. Jody Upshaw, there's so many.
We got that guy, Keontae Beals is going to come on the podcast.
Beals,
he'll be on the podcast in a couple of weeks.
Nice, he's another guy just so soulful. Yeah. Just Chase, who he was actually nominated for a Grammy because he wrote on Chris Brown's last album.
Wow.
North Preston, So shout out to Just Chase, Jordan, of course. I rock with all these artists. AWOL, there's so many that I really. That's probably the best part about Smooth Grooves. I like to play, not just Canadian. We have to, but local, Scotian artists, Canadian artists, because it's just, to me, that's a showcase of their music. Maybe people haven't heard it, and
And where else are they going to hear that?
Exactly.
Like, I mean, maybe at the club and stuff, but not really on radio, right? Here on any other radio station, you can really hear like a diverse a selection of local artists, right?
Yeah,
And,
that's the thing, yeah.
it's something we miss when we have these big radio stations, right? So I'm huge for hearing that.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's stations that if they play it, it's like a snippet. It might not be a song, or it might not, the whole song or whatever. So that's cool. But like, I'm trying to play the whole song and give them the right representation. So yeah.
Well, yeah, you're kind of really like giving African Nova Scotians specifically a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not just limited to African Nova
No,
Scotians
of course
too,
not.
but I've
Yeah.
like rocked with Quake Matthews,
Yeah.
through his whole career. I really like Classified's new song, People. You know what I mean? There's
Great.
so many
yeah,
artists.
Yeah, I love Quake. I love both those guys, actually. I mean, and they're both such nice guys.
Oh, definitely,
right? So
yeah.
humble and just down to earth. And what I love about both of those artists, like I say, is their authenticity. Right? They're genuinely themselves. Makes me respect them a whole lot. Right? There's no lies in their music.
I feel like it's inspiring, at least it should be as an artist, to see it. Both of those guys, like especially Classified, he could have moved away years ago and did whatever, and he's still in his hometown making music in his own house, making his own like beats, all that, like being himself. You know what I mean? To me, that's inspiring.
Yeah, he still lives out in Enfield. So like my cousins went to high school with him, and the first time I met Luke was before he was like, big deal kind of thing, and he was doing a show at Curly's out in Enfield. So it was, and I mean, just ran into him, didn't get to really interact too much with him, but introduced to him and stuff like that, and he just seemed like a pretty normal, humble dude.
He is. I feel like he loves that, like that.
Yeah.
I went to high school with Jay May.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah,
Shout out Jay May.
and then Cameron 902. What was he?
Smith?
Cam Smith. So he thinks. Yeah,
my best friend Jacob. That's what he goes by now.
He's an awesome guy.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
sure.
and wicked music production too.
Definitely.
Like with the talent. There's so many guys with so much talent that people would never hear. And critical on Nova Scotia and Nova Scotians. Yeah. They often have to leave and make it somewhere else for Nova Scotia to say, wait a minute, that guy wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
I noticed
Nova
that.
Scotia.
Cliche,
So
big time,
frustrating.
right?
Yeah.
Even for Classified, right? He could probably sell more tickets in Alberta tomorrow than if he opened up his show in Halifax sometimes. And I'm not. I mean, like, maybe that's different now, but I'm certainly there was a time it was like that, right?
Yeah. I was at a radio station, the audacity, like I'm telling you. So I was at I don't know if you don't remember the song "All About You" by Classified, and it had Chad Hatcher on it. And they were like, why don't you take the rap out and we'll play it? And I was like, it's Classified song. What do you mean take the rap out?
That's
what I mean? It's just like, how would you wouldn't say that to any other artist. You wouldn't tell Jan Arden, just take that bridge out and we'll play it. Like, you know what I mean? So it was just so foolish. But he was another example of when he won a Much Music Award and starting to get recognized outside of Nova Scotia. All of a sudden,
the Junos are coming in, and now they're like, oh yeah, he's not so bad.
Yeah, so now they'll start playing him. So it's like, man, he could have been leading the way with that, pushing the hometown artists, right? So.
Yeah, we got to support our hometown artists. So if you hear someone in your neighborhood, you got to listen to them, love them, champion them. I mean, those likes on Facebook and also for this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever you're doing, like, love, support, and share with your friends, because that's what helps people grow more than anything else, right? Just sharing it.
Yeah, share it.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. Yeah, so I mean, like we kind of talked about some of the up and comers and stuff like that, but in locally and everything. But I don't know. We've had this eternal debate, and so.
Oh, we're not doing a top five or not, are we?
No. But we can do that, actually.
I could.
We could do that.
I'm ready, I think.
We could do a top five because, our listeners are clearly finding out that the Newfoundlander sitting to the right of me is a bit of a hip hop geek. So, I'm very surface level. I will fully admit that. Like, there's ones, but I'm also just like an 80s, 90s kind of fan. But yeah, because I think he and I have had debates about the top five for a long time, actually. But
like top five MCs?
Oh, I don't know if I want to do that right now.
I know.
No, I don't want to do that.
I always say I can never answer questions like that.
It's so tough.
I can tell you who I like. I don't know.
I'll
might
give
be
you
more
like a
than
top
5.
32.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it changes, though, right? Like, you'll be in a mood where you'll be like, I'm listening to Kendrick Lamar for 2 months straight, and I love the guy, but then I'm sick of him. Like, I've been only listening to this one artist for 2 months now, and then I switch it up. And
I find, like, when I see those posts online and people, top 5, and then people comment, it's almost like they're just mentioning people because they weren't mentioned, rather than really you think that's actually the top 5, or it's your top 5, or what is the criteria for the top 5? Like, there's so many ways you can go with it. Right?
I'm listening to a ton of Redman right now. I just got on the kick, and I mean, I don't know if he's my favorite artist. He is an artist I go back to.
Did you hear what he did over the Chris Brown.
The freestyler he did the other night.
Yeah.
It was
He killed
fantastic.
it.
Yeah,
What's that,
he's
look at
been
me now,
going on other people's beats and jacking them. And he sent that to Busta Rhymes and was like teasing him and stuff. And like, Busta Rhymes, my God, man. At one time, one of the best shows I've ever seen in Halifax.
Oh, that was like $10 to get in.
It was at
amazing.
the Palace. I mean, it was a very
crazy.
smoky show.
Oh yeah, it was
very smoky show.
So much
My
energy,
gosh.
so much energy.
And he has people that don't know Busta Rhymes, he's probably one of the greatest wordsmiths in the terms of, a lot of people can rap fast, but the way he announces syllables is just next level. And it's so crisp and concise and clear that you're like, oh my God, right? And then you're like, he could never do that in real life. Well, he does it in verbatim, and it sounds just like one of his albums, and you almost think he's lip syncing if he wasn't doing such a great job of it.
Busta does not ever get mentioned in top 5 enough.
No,
not
that's
enough.
true.
That's for sure.
No. He just got a tribute at the BET Awards here last year. That was fantastic. I think it was late last year.
Yep.
Yeah, and
In June, I think it was.
I just watched one last night. It came out 6 days ago. JD and Ludacris and all those guys, all the South guys, on the BET Awards was fantastic. I love those days of rap, and I don't feel like we're never going to get it back.
No.
So yeah, I kind of like the old days. But anyways,
I got to tell you, I'm kind of glad we're over the Ja Rule days because I'm never a Ja Rule fan. And every time I hear that man's voice, I'm like, nope.
He had a lot of hits. But,
He did.
yeah.
But
He also had that crazy scam. Did you see that
Firefest?
thing? Firefest. Did you watch the
I
documentary?
watched both of them. Yeah,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
You know they're trying to do it again.
They're trying to do it
not necessarily
too.
him, not him.
No,
but
the other
dude,
promoter guy.
Who
He's
went
trying to do a
jail,
second
Billy
one.
or something.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're probably just going to cash out on the idea of just giving people a super shitty experience.
Well, if they would have pulled off what they were supposed to do, it would have been incredible. But
Right.
I don't know if they intended it to be a scam off the bat or
It's
if
just
they were
poor planning.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe a combination of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, what's next for you, man? Do you just kind of...
I try to stay busy all the time. I feel like to do nothing requires zero effort. So I'd rather try to do stuff and just keep busy and keep at it. I always say my mentality is I don't know how much longer I can do this for, because of who knows, right? Life is just life. You never know. Maybe physically I can't do it anymore or whatever. Maybe people stop checking for me and booking me or whatever. So as far as DJing and all that, so I just want to try to do as much as I can while I'm able to do it. Yeah, this was a good year. I'm not even gonna lie. Professionally, it was a good year. There's a lot of things, the recognition that I got from Smooth Grooves turning 25 years and being on CKDU for 30, from mainstream media, from
I saw the
CTV,
Halifax
CBC.
Examiner.
Halifax Examiner
really
was a
great
really
article
nice
on it.
article.
Yeah,
on
that
it.
was really good.
And I loved that article. And might have
Shout
gave me
out
the
to-
idea to invite you on the show.
Yeah, Matthew Byard, who was actually
Yeah.
a student at
Really?
RTJ.
Okay.
Graduated a couple years ago, but yeah, he hit me up, and I love that. Also, kind of came out after the CTV thing, and I was on CBC and CTV the same day, so that was really cool. And then he put that out a little later, and it was way more in depth, and I really like that. So yeah, I'm glad he did that.
Well, I think you deserve a lot of respect. You brought a genre of music to a lot of folks who otherwise probably wouldn't have heard it, right? And which helps the culture here for everyone, right? And Nova Scotians should really tip their hats to you, man. I think you provided a good public service, and you continue to do it. So thank you so much for that.
My wheels are spinning. I say we do an afternoon pint, something,
What?
and have him. We should do some sort of afternoon pint event.
Like
Oh yeah,
let's do it.
100%.
Yeah.
So, man, well, thank you so much for coming to sit down with us and
Yeah,
hang
we
out for a
really
minute. Really do appreciate it. We got cheers one more time.
Yeah, for sure.
RS Smooth. Follow him on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, I gotta check because I think Instagram is just, they might have changed my name. Hold on.
Yeah, we can.
Got you on Facebook.
On both
RS
Facebook
Smooth.
and on Instagram, it's Ryan RS Smooth Summers. But I think if you just at RS Smooth on Instagram, you'll find me, and that's all one word, RSSMOOTH. And you can find me, I'm sure, if you put that in on Facebook, same way.
And CKDU on Sundays, right?
Yep, Sundays 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. 6
And if you
hours,
missed the live show, you can go to...
Mixcloud.com/RS Smooth. Again, no funny spelling, just RSSMOOTH.
Perfect.
Mixcloud.com/RS Smooth. Check it out.
Perfect. Thank you so much again. Have a nice
Thank
one.
you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.